Hi, welcome to Odd News. We're coming to you today from West End Lakeshore Park. The park is on the west end of New Orleans. It was established in 1906 by the state of Louisiana as a place for public recreation. For the last 20 years, elected officials and appointed officials have sought to develop the western 4 acres of the park, to commercialize them with bars and restaurants and retail. Studies have shown that the area is saturated. However, the elected officials have pushed to make this happen, this development, which requires cutting down oak trees, removing a wildlife habitat that includes eagles and over 110 species of birds. Residents have been expressing their displeasure at this idea. However, the officials keep pushing, and this led to some meetings in February of 2025 in which those residents expressed their displeasure with their elected officials and their appointed officials at pushing this, as they said, down our throats. In this documentary, you'll hear what they had to say and how the media reported it.
Development since Hurricane Katrina ravaged the area.
Andres Fuentes joined a meeting tonight on the neighborhood's future.
Right now, no restaurants, buildings, or development since Hurricane Katrina.
It's behind lock and key right now. It's a staging area for whatever's going to go there. And it really is kind of a shame.
At Tuesday's meeting at the East Bank Regional Library, Jefferson Parish, New Orleans, and state lawmakers all spoke about efforts to bring new life to that area. The 4-acre plot is divided. 70% is in Orleans, 30% is in Jefferson, and the state governs portion of the waterfront. While no plans or projects are set in stone just yet, dozens of people showed their support for trees, native plants, and the birds that call the area home over anything else.
There's been no focus on green space, wildlife, ecology.
And while a park or a natural protection area is still a possibility for the 4-acre plot, some neighbors wonder if something similar to the nearby Bucktown Marsh Boardwalk can be built, fostering a more eco-friendly approach to the lakefront.
It makes so much sense to have two sites side by side, but a pedestrian bridge between the two.
And organizers emphasize that they are a long ways away from finalizing any sort of plans for the property, and they want to hear more questions and concerns from the public at another community meeting tomorrow. It starts at 5 o'clock in the evening at the Edward Haynes Charter School.
Hasn't been touched since Hurricane Katrina.
WDSU reporter Jonah Gilmore is live in West End tonight. And Jonah, do we know what's being proposed for the area?
Something a little different, like green space and places to walk along the water.
I would prefer the environmental aspect of it, the calming effects of the lake, the waterfront.
It's gated and locked, but now there are talks of transforming it into something people on both sides of the parish line could use.
There will not be Airbnbs and there will not be residential development. I know that was the big deal.
Residents say times have changed and it should be put to a different use.
They could make that a state preserve and tie that in to the area where the eagles are. We could put a tower on the other side in Jefferson Parish where they've already done a great job of making that solely environmental.
The property is only 4 acres, with the majority of it in Orleans Parish. Despite that, both parishes are agreeing to split whatever revenue it generates evenly. Nothing is set in stone to revitalize it, and while everyone wants to see something done, that something is still in the air.
I'm one of the people who would like to see it maintained as a bird sanctuary, not laying fallow, but developed as recreation for our community.
Reporting live in the West End tonight, Jonah Gilmore.
D, which is the administration's position on West End development. I guess I'm a little confused about this one because this is kind of been handed around like a hot potato for a long period of time. We've discussed publicly that the revenue split would be 50-50 since I've been involved in the project.
I've invited Lynette Doyle, who is the collector of revenue.
Okay.
Sorry, I did not introduce myself when I came up the first time. Romy Samuel, Director of Finance. I think what you assume was the discussion that the city would benefit is not actually the case. Ms. Doyle sat in on no less than 4 meetings, and she can explain it to you. But in summary, the city would get nothing. That 50-50 split is the 5%. 50 of that goes to the school board and RTA, and the other 50%, which is 2.5, would go to the city. And Ms. Doyle can confirm. Jefferson Parish wanted the 100% of our half.
Right. You know, not that I'm counting, but with 152 days for me and for y'all, it'd be nice to have at least a groundbreaking out there. I don't think we'll have a ribbon cutting, but it's nice to have a groundbreaking.
My question to Councilman Giarrusso is, what police department, what fire department is going to need this property? And if it's Orleans, why is Orleans giving up 30% of the tax rate?
Is, and I live in a condo, and that street that comes in right before the hump is it's a speedway, and it's something that should be considered. And I can't believe we don't have police out there all the time. The other thing is, I believe I'm correct, right on the other side, there is, in Bucktown, there is a natural preserve. They're letting it go back to nature. Am I not correct on that? And, you know, this to me is something that if the city needs money, isn't there somewhere else that we can get the money other than putting a restaurant on? Good God. I mean, we now fight the Blue Crab and all these restaurants to make sure that the music is not too loud. If you put a music there, it's just going to disrupt the whole thing. And I seriously suggest that there's no reason to not make that green space that is used. Thank you.
Whether or not there has been any real development cost with respect to leaving it as it is in a repaired condition for the use as a park, as opposed to having any kind of commercial activity and all of the whatever goes on with that. And of course, part of those problems back in the day, and hopefully we don't have those problems in the future.
There was a lot more green space, and I'm really here for the green space. And just recently, I've been made aware of the pelicans and the eagles who are in the area, and I think that that is something to be considered as well. So I'm here for the green space. I visited about a year ago, and I saw how horrible the parking lot looked, and it's really horrible. And we really could make it a value to the community. I mean, that was some of the parts that we're talking about, the points that we brought up about the development stuff, and what value could we bring in. Green space, the fact that the community could touch the environment and really tourism be there, it is a value. It's not just tax revenue. It's a value to the quality of life we want to have in our community and how we relate to each other in the community and to our environment and to nature in the community. So I think it's more about, there's lots of restaurants, but there's not that much green space. And the more we lose, it's gone. It's gone forever. So I think that it's a quality thing to consider.
However, I think it's so important to maintain green space for the mental health of our community and to reduce criminal activity. I mean, there's proven research that green space accomplishes those things for us. So I would go back. I'm one of the people who would like to see it maintained as a bird sanctuary, not leave fallow, but developed as recreation for our community.
We now have over 150 residents that surround the park and the lake. People, this is not party central anymore like it used to be. And as he said, you're not bringing the restaurants back over the water because the Army Corps of Engineers won't let you build them there. We've got, and going to the bird sanctuary, we sat down and labeled 36 different species of birds that we saw last week. And I'm not even a bird watcher. You know, this could be really something very special, as you brought up, Joe, in the beginning. This is a very special piece of property. And as far as restaurants are concerned, how are you doing out there with your restaurant? Doing okay. You doing okay? Do you see a big restaurant making a hell of a lot of money at the other end of the park?
How about there?
Yeah, it's tough out there. We have restaurants, we have more restaurants per capita than any city in the country. What do we don't need any more restaurants for? You're talking about retail space. Oh, we got all these buyers. Go out to Clearview. It's empty. We don't need more retail space. People are buying things online. Nobody's coming out to shop in one little tiny area like that. And as far as the money's concerned, you're going to have a negative flow of money trying to maintain shops or whatever you're going to put up there because of the infrastructure and everything else. We've got plenty of money out of the lakefront right now. I live in one of the boathouses. I listen to the financial report every week. We're not hurting for money to maintain the park. And the park is wonderful. People come out and walk every day. They picnic out there. There's gazebos. We put a few more gazebos out there, which is really nice. And this would be a special, special area for the whole city to remember the kids growing up. We don't need more junk restaurants out there. You know, and everybody that lives anywhere close to it will agree to me. To get into political meetings, yeah, we need more money. Yeah, we don't need more money out there. None of it's going to stay there. Maybe the city might need to fill some potholes with that money. But it doesn't need to come from there. Let's keep it green. Let's keep it the way it is and do something nice with it. Thank you.
But how big is that? I mean, an acre and a half? All the restaurants, they were suspended out over the water. And then you utilize that, then you have parking. This is a very, very small space. If you're going to have that, there's also your parking. And I see the revenue generation, especially how it's been stepped on and stepped on and stepped on in the revisions. It doesn't really come back to aid the local community. If you were to take and run a survey across the city, of course people would want to have Fitzgerald's and Yetgers and Brennan's back. There's no problem. They live in the neighborhood. And they haven't seen it change. West End is not what it was before Katrina. And I think that's really quite clear. You don't have the infrastructure currently. Your sewers are failing, your drainage is terrible, the water supply is just bad in the neighborhood. That has to be addressed. And I don't see that really working. And what you can do, like Vision said, there's eagles, there's pelicans, there's an opportunity to really bring something special in. I took the opportunity to contact the McElhaney family, and they would be willing to put in a bird sanctuary. If you've never been to Avery Island, McElhaney, it's identical to the post that were left on, in that you can facilitate nesting for pelicans and other birds. The reason why they're elevated is the varmints can't come up and disturb the nest. But you have a very valuable site for pelicans and other birds that are nesting, a great chance to bring in an ecoculture that describes our indigenous real quick. I would be willing to take on this project with the community here, design an ecosystem, and utilize the park to the benefit of everyone, not just in the opinion of New Orleans and the gym. So, thank you.
My name's Shelley. I grew up in Emory in New Orleans and so a long-term resident. And I feel the same way a lot of people in this room do, that we really need to consider keeping this green space, bird sanctuary, looking at ecotourism. It is such a special place. I walk along the lake very, very often, and that's where you see people fishing. You know, just throw their little fishing pole out and catching things, and you have nice conversations with people. And when we talk about other things, like tree canopies, you know, New Orleans has one of the lowest tree canopies of many cities that have been surveyed of similar size. And the discussion of even cutting down majestic oak trees would go against that. And so we really need to consider this as a space of green space, for trees, a place where everyone can participate, not just high-income people, but people that can bring their kids to see birds, people that can get on a canoe and go in the water, and people that can throw their fishing pole and share a good moment with their grandchildren. So I support a lot of people in this room. I think we should really look at keeping a green space. I think you should add that as an option. I think you'd be surprised over the results. Thank you.
So I guess my first question is what I was trying to ask is why are there survey of the only entertainment options and there's no recreation, keeping it actual option listed? And how, to what extent are you going to use that survey to say that these people who voted all voted for dining or whatever, they didn't have the option to vote for another people because what's in on there. So to me, for starters, the survey is inherently biased, and I don't even know what the purpose of it is.
So certainly whatever ends up getting, I'm going to say shut down our throat, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. I would hope that you all have some sort of regulation with respect to the aesthetics of what it's going to do to the area and doesn't end up being, terrible looking stuff, concrete and what have you. So certainly, when something gets destroyed in the French War, they certainly don't allow something that might be what we're going to end up with there at the West End Park. So again, it would be great if you could not do anything there. There are so many other places in the whole lakefront area and in Bucktown where there's much more space and probably much more applicable to such a development that's coming up. So with that said, thank you all for all of your efforts. We understand that you all are existing drainage, and how are you going to control it? This is an RFQ or an RFP. So you don't have the drawings yet, so you don't really know what you have. So who's going to monitor the construction, and who's going to have to go in there?
Property, because again, it's old and it's been neglected for such a long time. I think there's two separate parts of this, at least in my mind. One is the developer's got to come in and look at everything, and that's going to be a negotiated term as part of the deal, which is the upkeep and the capital improvements that have to go there as part of supporting what's there right now. That's part of it.
At the meeting last night, I mentioned that I had bad news that Nancy Westhoff is now gone and will never come back. Because I had nice memories of eating at the soda fountain at Nancy Westhoff on St. Charles, and it turned into a Rite Aid, and now it's a liquor store. So I don't want to see that same progression happen out here. As Courtney said, it's going to be shut down approach. Let's just take it and move more to a protective mode rather than a objective mode. I'd like to know, first of all, it's a land lease, like we pay land leases on a boathouse. What is the projected land lease amount that we're going to get from these folks?
That's outside.
I didn't even look at that. I didn't even look at what the land lease is.
Wait. Okay, that's not fair.
All right.
That's not fair. Look, hang on a second. I have to say there are many things about which I have to govern on that I don't have all the details. And so I really want to make sure that we're relying either on the World Building Corporation or HR&A, who are the experts in this area. I'm not.
Lease the land. We would like to see that whoever's leasing that land has a personal guarantee on it. I don't want to see an abandoned building out there that we're using. And it can happen. You build another just square block building, put a restaurant in, the restaurant's not successful, and the guy walks, we're stuck with the building.
I'd love to see the restaurants, but the restaurants that were there when I was young, nothing was 65 feet. So I don't know what can go in the top. It's just some more information I'd like. And then the second thing is noise. I can sing the songs that Blue Crab plays from, I can hear the words and the lyrics, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I would strongly suggest that we would have a curfew on noise or entertainment, so that I would know by 10 o'clock, I would know I won't be able to hear or sing any more songs. Third suggestion is that when the developer or when you all decide on the parking, you could go there on a day like maybe today, on Wednesday night when there's the sailing races, it's really hard to get a parking spot. Everything around there, and then they start to come down by our boathouses. So I wouldn't want them to look at a typical Monday and think, oh, there's plenty of parking. So that would be my three: the noise, the curfew, and the height. Thank you.
In respect to all the restaurant talk and the nightclubs and all the things that occurred tonight, we have a lot of restaurants, and we support them, whether it's Marsala, it's Russell's, it's the Blue Crab. I think we have enough restaurants, that's me personally. Maybe the harbor people can think about something other than restaurants as far as generating revenue, and I know tax revenue is really important. Maybe there's an opportunity for them to dock boats or just beautify that whole area and do something else. I know years ago we had Coconut Beach, and that was just a vibrant. The times are different now than what they were before. Who knows? Pickleball. Something healthy and happy and maybe coffee shops and something nice. The only concern I have about nightlife there is I know personally that as a homeowner there at the boathouse, we don't want a lot of noise. We respect everything. One example is the Christmas Boathouse Parade. If you had anyone who came to your boathouse party this year, there was no place to park. Traffic was horrible. And I'm just thinking out loud that if something like this happens over here, which I'm all in favor of whatever the majority seems is the right thing to do. But I just want it to be a healthy and something that respects both homeowners, because we do pay a lease every year. We pay more in insurance, we pay more in tax. We do all of that to support where we live. My only concern is it has to be something healthy.
Yeah, thank you. I can see West End Park from our condo. To get here tonight, I had to dodge 7 potholes just on Lake Marina Avenue, and one has an orange cone round into it in front of us, Marina Grill. If you turn right onto Lakeshore to exit either east or west, good luck with that. There's still auto parts on that little tiny niche around the curbs, filthy, the neighborhood is dirty. It is a junkyard wasteland. Now, having had our taxes 100% increase last year, I would think that we would have a cleaner roadway, better roads, and access in the community. I'm very disappointed, but I worked with you, Joe, for 3 years, simply to get the crosswalk at Lake Marina Avenue and Lake Shore repainted on the surface so I and my dog would not be run over by cars and trucks turning from one lane to the next. If we had signs that said state law must stop for pedestrians in those crosswalks, that would be helpful. A lot of money was spent on Lake Shore Drive. We get nothing on Lake Marina Avenue, but we get the traffic, we get the gangbangers, we get the music, we get the speedway, we get the motorcycles, we had someone killed at the corner of Lake Marina and Regent, we get all of that. Now, we're looking at a project that could bring more of that, and what we would prefer to see in work with Jefferson Parish is to have the same venue and sanctuary that you have built, designed, and conserved in Jefferson Parish. Why that can't be accomplished, I have no idea. There are eagles in Jefferson Parish. Thank you, Gail. We've seen others, and that's what we'd like to see happen.
The first thing I want to talk about is the non-essential lighting that will be generated by the development of this area if it is not conserved as a green space. In New Orleans, there is no place to view the night sky. There are a bunch of us who enjoy night photography and astronomy, and with the light pollution, there aren't very many places to see it. That one spot is the only spot that you can view night sky events if it is over the water and not over the light bubble of Jefferson Parish where it's like simulated daylight. The second thing is that it is the best sunset spot in the city, and I hate saying it here because I feel like I'm revealing the biggest secret. It is beautiful. So there are the remnants from where the restaurants were get filled with pelicans, so many pelicans and other birds, and you can watch them coming in, landing, taking off at twilight, diving for their food, but it's just the contrast of the colors and everything in the water. When the sun sets there, you can see it go below the horizon and dip below. If there are buildings that are erected, which will be as high as they will be concrete, it'll be a big block wall, and that area will be obstructed. I watched so many sunsets there that I can say I'm the sunset expert here, and that is the very best spot, and we will lose that special spot. Quick suggestion, in lieu of those restaurants, food trucks. They can be hurricane friendly, they can be moved, they can be set off the water, and everybody can have it.
Yes, I'm from Jefferson Parish, and I know there was a lady in the audience who talked about Bucktown Harbor and why couldn't you guys have something as nice as Bucktown Harbor? I would love to see you guys have something as nice as Bucktown Harbor. And for anybody that hasn't been there, please go visit. It's absolutely beautiful. Lots of green space, lots of trees are being planted. It's a good place to watch a sunset. I'd like to see New Orleans have something of the same. I'm from the area, I grew up here, I was born here, I'll be here for the rest of my life. You guys are right, that area is one of the prettiest areas for sunsets. It's something that we need to cherish, it's something that we need to hold on to. These places are special. I said this last night, New Orleans has one of the lowest tree canopy areas in the area. You guys have majestic oak trees that sit on that property. Those trees are part of our heritage and part of our culture. And while they might not make money, they're worth protecting, just as that space is worth protecting. I think it would be nice, Councilman Liljeberg, I know you did not run on this issue, but to have an option on the survey to see what people really want, and if they do want ecotourism, and if they do want a place for a nature reserve, it would be a dynamite place for that. Thank you.
There are inconsistencies, incompatibilities. The light and noise are totally incompatible with that nature reserve. My desire and hope is that the heritage live oak trees, especially along the balustered area, be protected. This applies whether the area becomes a green public space or other. And it's important that the broken concrete near many of the trees be removed carefully, and that a competent tree firm that has done multiple tree preservation projects needs to be included in the restoration process from the beginning stage to the end stage, to the completion. And I guess that's pretty much what I want to say.
And second of all, I noticed that there was, we put recreation, but there's not a green space option. And I think that really has to be concerned, because green spaces suck up moisture, suck up water. They don't flood and get destroyed when there's a hurricane. And my second question is, why aren't we talking about green spaces as one of the options, or at least part of the option?
We've been talking about this a long time. So I'm hopeful and not optimistic that it's going to be developed anytime soon. And in the meantime, why is it being allowed to be jumped up with boats, campers, and trailers?
Because at one point it was a rose garden out there in the 1930s. The Public Works and FDR had planted 5,500 roses out there. We have created surveys online. 260 people have taken it. I don't know if you guys want to use it or not, but it's got 55 questions to it, so it's there if anybody wants to take it. It asks a lot of the things we can hear tonight and we can share with you guys. The things I did want to also ask, though, is we see that on that map right there, it's 7 acres on the north side. Why wouldn't we consider putting it on the north side, but we would have to split the revenue with Jefferson Parish if we're going to do that? Okay, and then we wouldn't be having people dying next to a pumping station. We wouldn't be dealing with the pelicans and the trees and everything else. That's open land up there, so it seems like that should have been considered. Another point is the 1%, can we put that in place now? Why wait so long to get that done? Another thought is there's an empty lot right by Marsala. So when we start doing this, we also already have empty commercial lots. So why not consider some of those? And we know that a lot of the places declined because of sobriety checkpoints. There's only one way in and one way out. And in the 70s, police started checking it, and that's when we got a decline in the revenue for the bars that were out there. So those are the places in the parking lot, I think, should be reopened, because as we heard so much, we have a shortage of parking. So why not make the parking lot available? It may cost us $2,000 a month in lost revenue, but I really think the parking lot should be available to us.
Get it in 30 seconds. What is your plan for West End? Obviously a major project in District A.
I live in West End, and they just built the community sales center. And when they did not upgrade the infrastructure to the extent that we don't have a lot of water pressure anymore. Insurance costs going up. I have no reason to believe that they can sustain economic or restaurants, for-profit businesses. I think I'm against it.
Orleans side, at least, getting the neighborhood participation program back in place to make sure that residents have their own voice in what happens in their community. Again, I'm about people before profit, so for me, it's making sure that the residents are able to leverage where they live as best as possible.
Of West End can be an opportunity for us to get back to these important resources for both sort of quality of life and in public spaces that we can all enjoy.
That's in Councilmember Giarrusso's office, and we almost had it to the finish line. We've got to get that RFQ out to get it developed. So I'm very excited about the potential for developing West End. I think, but yes, I'm excited for the development of West End.
If you'd like to help, please call your councilman or state representative and let them know you value keeping the park an open space. Visit the website retiefpark.org and take the survey. Thank you.